John Anthony Tenta Jr. was a Canadian professional wrestler and sumo tori, best known for his work in World Wrestling Entertainment as Earthquake. After a promising start to his sumo career using the name Koto Tenta, Tenta switched to professional wrestling and became a high-profile star for the WWE, feuding with Hulk Hogan and winning the WWF Tag Team Championship with partner and personal friend Typhoon. His professional wrestling career also encompassed runs with World Championship Wrestling, where he was known as Avalanche and the Shark, All Japan Pro Wrestling, and a return to WWE as Golga. John Tenta was born in Surrey, British Columbia on June 22, 1963, named after his father. He was a large baby weighing 11 pounds 3 ounces at birth. Inspired by professional wrestlers Gene Kiniski and Don Leo Jonathan, John decided to pursue professional wrestling at the age of 6. John started making headlines in 1978 at the age of 15 as a member of the Cloverdale Community School rugby team, winning the 1978 Fraser Valley Junior High School rugby title, and later as a member of the Surrey Beavers Rugby Club and barely missing the 1979 Provincials. John learned freestyle wrestling at North Surrey Secondary, and in 1980 he celebrated his 17th birthday in Japan by winning a gold medal in the over 87 kilograms class of the World Elite Wrestling Championships, after wrestling for less than a year. The following year in 1981, John became a Canadian junior champion shortly after his 18th birthday. John finished 6th in the super heavyweight category at the World Junior Wrestling Championships. He then won an athletic scholarship to Louisiana State University, where he competed in NCAA level collegiate wrestling. At LSU, he was nicknamed Big John, lettering on the Tiger varsity wrestling team and participating on the football team. In 1985, LSU had dropped varsity wrestling to comply with the Title 1X, forcing him to choose a new sport. John then walked on to the LSU football team, where he played some junior varsity games as a defensive lineman. He was also known as a quiet giant while employed as a bouncer at an LSU college bar called the Bengal. John also played rugby for the LSU Rugby Club. One day on campus, John saw some white students threatening a young black man. They found out the hard way that John didn't tolerate racism. John then moved to Japan to pursue a career in sumo wrestling after being recruited by a former Yokozuna who met John on a trip to Vancouver. In October 1985, he joined a sumo stable, Sarogatake, run by a former Yokozuna. Following tradition, the young sumo tori took the name Koto Tenta, translated as Tenta the Harp. Beginning the sport at age 22, he entered nearly 7 years later than many non-college aspirants. The combination of his size and training as a wrestler were to his advantage in learning and advancing in the sport. The novice won all of his 24 bouts during his 8-month active career, and later renamed Koto Tenshin Heavenly Mountain Harp. The novelty of being a rare Westerner sumo tori in the mid-1980s and the third ever Caucasian garnered him press coverage, and he earned the additional nickname of the Canadian Comet. Despite doing well as a newcomer, he soon quit the sport due to the difficulty of the sumo lifestyle and the toll of the hard ring surface was taking on his body. In addition, the sumo world frowned on the large tattoo of a tiger on his left bicep, and though he covered it during his matches, would have required him to remove it via skin graft before moving up to the higher level competitions. In Japan, tattoos are associated with gangsters and public display is widely prohibited. After leaving sumo, John quickly signed up for Japanese pro wrestling under the tutelage of the Giant Baba. He made his professional wrestling debut with All Japan Pro Wrestling on May 1, 1987, teaming with Giant Baba and defeating Rusher Kimura and Goro Tsurumi. Tenta had a solid 18-month career, teaming with popular Japanese wrestlers Giant Baba, Jumbo Tsuruta, and the Great Kabuki, before getting the attention of American pro wrestling promoters, as well making tours in Vancouver for Al Tomko's All-Star Wrestling, where he competed as a babyface, but later turned heel when he began being managed by Gentleman Jonathan Sayers. After making 2 dark match appearances under his real name in March 1989, John joined the WWE full-time in September 1989. In his first match after signing on, A dark match on September 21st, 1989, he was known as Earthquake Evans and managed by Slick. John then made his WWF televised debut on the November 11th, 1989 edition of WWF Superstars of Wrestling, where he was planted in the audience as a normal spectator. However, John leapt down onto the Prone Ultimate Warrior using a seated senton that was adapted to be a signature move. Bravo and John Tenta then beat and unleashed multiple splashes on the Prone Ultimate Warrior. Both then celebrated as John Tenta was inaugurated into the WWE as a heel with Hart as his manager. John was pushed as a Canadian Earthquake and by WrestleMania 6, simply Earthquake, an unstoppable monster heel who often sent his opponents out on a stretcher after repeatedly hitting them with his sit-down splash. Earthquake's first pay-per-view appearance was when he replaced Barry Windham on Randy Savage's team at the 1989 Survivor Series. Earthquake eliminated Hercules and survived the match along with Savage and Dino Bravo. He made his WrestleMania debut at WrestleMania 6, defeating Hercules. John's career peaked when he entered a feud with Hulk Hogan. The feud exploded in May 1990 when Earthquake snuck up on Hogan from behind during a segment of the Brother Love Show. Natural Disasters, managed by Jimmy Hart. Initially a heel team, the duo feuded with the Legion of Doom over the WWF World Tag Team Championship, but were unsuccessful. Later, the Disasters turned face when Jimmy Hart betrayed them and joined forces with Money Inc., a team composed of Irwin R. Shyster and Ted DiBiase. Money Inc. had just won the tag team titles from Legion of Doom. At WrestleMania 7, they defeated Money Inc. by countout but did not win the titles. Although Earthquake and Typhoon eventually won the tag team titles, it wasn't long before Money Inc. regained the belts. John left the WWF in January 1993 after losing via countout to Bam Bam Bigelow, the night after the Royal Rumble, for a spell in Japan for war. He also had a brief stint in CMLL in late 1993, and a visit home to Surrey, British Columbia. John returned to the WWE in January 1994 when he assisted Bret Hart in a match with Shawn Michaels by countering Diesel's interference. He defeated Atom Bomb in a quick squash match at WrestleMania 10. He then engaged in a short feud with Yokozuna, with whom he had a sumo match on Raw. John Tenta's sumo background was also revealed, and he won the sumo match. Earthquake was scheduled to face Owen Hart in a King of the Ring qualifying match. However, during a May 14, 1994 house show in San Jose, California, Earthquake was injured by Yokozuna and crushed. Footage of Yokozuna hitting a banzai drop at the show was televised before the qualifying match to explain his absence, in which Doink the Clown was his replacement. He again disappeared from the WWE thereafter and returned to Japan for WAR. John then contacted World Championship Wrestling. Hulk Hogan, a longtime friend, lobbied to have John come in, and so John joined WCW. Early 1997. After his feud with Big Bubba Rogers, John then resurfaced in the WWE on the May 25, 1998 edition of Raw's War under the name Golga. He wrestled under a mask as one of the oddities, and the character had a fascination with Eric Cartman from the TV series South Park. The gimmick was given to John because he lost a considerable amount of weight, so much that the WWE thought it wouldn't be believable for John to reprise the Earthquake gimmick with the weight loss. At SummerSlam, the Oddities defeated Kai and Tai in a handicap match, and at the 1998 Rock Bottom pay-per-view, held in Vancouver, British Columbia, Golga and Kurgan squared off against the Headbangers in a tag team match. When Golga was tagged, fans chanted Earthquake, and John received the biggest reaction of the match, but nonetheless was pinned by Thrasher. And at the 1999 Royal Rumble, Golga competed in the 30-wrestler Royal Rumble match, entering number 3, but was quickly eliminated by Steve Austin. The Oddities disappeared in the beginning of 1999 with all the members being released. He did, however, return to the WWE one last time in 2001 with the Earthquake gimmick, where he's one of the participants of the 20-man gimmick battle royal match at WrestleMania 17, being eliminated by Kamala. In December of the same year, he also worked a dark match against Tank Malachi before an episode of SmackDown. John Tenta's professional wrestling career garnered him appearances in several video games. In 1991, Earthquake was portrayed as a featured character in Tecmo's popular arcade video game WWF WrestleFest. He was also included in the 1992 home video game WWF Super WrestleMania by Flying Edge for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. In 2004, the Japanese video game developer Spike released King of Colosseum 2 for PlayStation 2 that featured John as an unlockable character. It was a Japan-only release. John retired from wrestling in 2004 and opened a wrestling school, but the plans came to a halt after it was revealed he had developed bladder cancer and was told he had a 20% chance to live, assuming he continued with his chemotherapy treatments. During his November 15, 2005 interview with WrestleCrap Radio, John announced that a recent radiation dosage did not go as planned and had no effect on the tumor. He also announced he had multiple tumors and had spread to his lungs. Over the next several months, John spent countless hours contributing to a popular wrestling forum, posting updates on his fight with cancer, chatting with fans, and developing personal friendships with many. Sadly, John lost his battle with cancer on June 7, 2006 at the age of 42. Many superstars, including Bret Hart, Jim Cornette, and Stevie Ray, among others, described John as one of the nicest guys they ever met. Behind the scenes, John was known as a family man who was easy to deal with and always did what was best for the business. John was also named honorary chairman of the 1986 BC Championships for the Disabled. He was married and had 3 children. The first public notice of John's death was posted that day on WWE.com. On the June 9, 2006 edition of SmackDown and the June 12, 2006 edition of Raw, WWE showed a bumper that read "R.I.P. Earthquake John Tenta" before each show began.